Tutorial Part 3. Casting on silicone gloves mold and demolding process.
Let's mix equal parts of EcoFlex 20 silicone A and B, and add half the amount of slacker to make the silicone extra soft. Then, we can continue with our casting. Using a vacuum chamber with EcoFlex 20 silicone is necessary to remove air bubbles before pouring it into the mold. I follow this process every time, stopping the machine only when all the bubbles in the cup are gone.
I'm still working with the mold open and pouring silicone into the face area only. The silicone is tinted with a light flesh tone pigment.
When pouring silicone, make sure to go slowly and hold your hand as high as possible. This helps prevent the formation of additional bubbles.
After the silicone cures, I'll close the mold from the back and finish the casting with the mold upside down. While the large mold cures, I'll continue casting by pouring silicone into the small baby mold. Since the hand molds are narrow, I prefer casting one arm at a time before closing the mold at the back opening. This way, the silicone flows better into the hands, avoiding bubble issues. I always cast this way if the mold has many intricate parts.
Let's wait to cure the arm and continue the pouring on the big mold that is cured. The mold is positioned upside down to receive the silicone for the second ear.
Mixing well, and remember to vacuum chamber before pouring inside the mold.
The buttons on the pajamas mold were cast in yellow, as you can see here. I poured yellow silicone only over the buttons as an experiment. Let's see if it works out in the end. The mold has already been closed. First, I used pins to secure the back part of the mold. Then I used the same silicone as the mold, mixing a small batch with a drop of Thivex to thicken it and ensure it stays in place for precise closure. The mold has already been closed with pins to secure the back part. Next, I'll use the same silicone as the mold, mixing a small batch with a drop of Thivex to thicken it and ensure it stays in place for a precise closure. Let's do it!
Using cotton and acetone, I'm disinfecting the area to ensure the silicone adheres properly. If the back of the mold is oily from the release agent, the silicone won't stick.
Here I'm accelerating the video, but the procedure is simple. Gently brush the silicone mixture over the area with the pins, sealing the opening.
Be gentle with these strokes. Your hand is very light when doing this procedure. You don't want to open the seams and let the silicone leak into the mold, so be careful. Let's wait to cure, and the mold it will be ready to receive the final pouring. Now that the silicone has cured, I'll position the mother mold and use an elastic band around it. Make sure the mold isn't pressing too tightly on the silicone to avoid altering the baby design shape. Then, place it upside down and ensure everything is secure to receive the heavy silicone pouring.
In this step, you'll see how I use wooden sticks tied with rubber bands to secure the mold in position, ensuring it doesn't fall or sink. Beneath the plastic, I'll add water to help stabilize the mold without putting too much weight on the sticks. The water won't touch the silicone mold as it stays under the plastic layer. After many years of casting silicone and experiencing accidents where the mold seemed secure but shifted, I've learned to prioritize stability. Now I use multiple methods to ensure the mold stays perfectly in place until it cures. If I can think of an extra precaution, I add it to guarantee a safe casting process. Here the small mold is already positioned to receive the EcoFlex 20 Flesh Tone silicone. It's secured with hooks and is firm, ready for pouring. The silicone has already gone through the vacuum chamber, and a small hole at the top of the head has been created as an opening for pouring. Here, I'm placing a wooden stick in the opening to prevent it from drying and closing the passage before I finish the pouring.
A syringe with a fine tip is my preferred tool for the final pouring, as it allows for smooth application, creating fewer bubbles and applying gentle pressure on the head of the mold, adding the delicacy this art requires.
Demolding process. After the silicone has completely cured, carefully remove any fixing pins or rubber bands. Carefully separate the mold parts to avoid damage by pulling the skin from inside the silicone cast. Make sure the silicone cast comes out smooth and without tears. Let's remove the silicone carefully to not damage the cast inside.
Let's remove the closing carefully.
This red silicone that closed the mold opening goes to the trash and cannot be reused.
And here's the first look at the cast. Let's celebrate this entire process together and carefully analyze it for any bubbles that may need retouching.
This is the most exciting moment for me throughout the entire process, seeing the baby's face and the results for the very first time.
The ear came out perfect, with no bubbles. That's why I prefer casting one ear at a time before closing the mold for silicone pouring.
Be patient when removing the inner mold from inside the mouth to avoid tearing anything. I prefer spraying alcohol and soap to help release it smoothly.
Let's analyze it together. Remember, this part was fixed in the previous video, and it turned out quite well. I'll add a few layers of silicone before painting anyway. The gum inside the mouth looks perfect. Let's take a closer look together. I will select one, tongue, to give extra charm to the design.
Let's continue with the demolding.
I'm spraying alcohol to help the release. Don't be in a hurry and don't pull the baby's arms or legs. Let the alcohol and soap act. Massage the mold. This helps to release the baby silicone from the silicone mold.
The little hand turned out really well and only one finger got a blister. I'm going to make a cast of the finger that needs to be fixed up. And I'm going to show the process with another more advanced tutorial of fixing boo-boos tutorial.
This baby design, the baby puts her fingers in her mouth, and it looks really cute. I'll put glass eyes on it soon and show this process here on the channel too.
Great! I didn't find any more bubbles. Now I'll trim the excess using my favorite tool for this step, a pair of curved tip scissors.
Here I'm folding the baby, so you can see the flexibility of the Silicone EcoFlex 20.
I don't have a pacifier that fits her well, so I'll need to sculpt one specifically for her.
Okay, let's trim the leftover seams.
Here I'm cutting a bubble and trying to smooth the area.
Sorry for the angolo. It's complicated to cute in front of the camera in such a difficult area.
Here I'm waiting for the mold to dry, and I will apply Agent Release 205, waiting to dry and cast the hand that got boo-boo to fix up the cast.
Let's clean the cast to remove the oils of the agent release left on the skin. Acetone. I will spray all over the casting many times during this cleaning process. The mold is ready to receive the silicone to cast a hand to be used to fix the baby boo-boo.
I'll use a small, thin, and long syringe to reach deep inside the mold and release silicone in the areas that are difficult to access, like the hand.
Let's wait to cure.
Let's continue cleaning, using the appropriate 3M mask, gloves, and safety glasses. It's necessary because now I will use Zippo lighter fluid to clean the skin of the silicone baby. All this cleaning is to make sure the painting process will stick to the silicone skin later on.
Work on a ventilated area to ensure the artist's safety.
I'm using pieces of cotton to delicately clean the baby skin with Zippo lighter fluid. This cleaning should be everywhere, inside the ears, mouth, fingers, all areas that will receive the painting.
So take your time and get this cleaning done. The last thing you need is to have a problem with paint process. I'll wrap up this tutorial here to keep it from getting too long and overwhelming. This tutorial has been packed with small yet super important tips to help make your art process a success. Take advantage of this knowledge and create your own silicone art notebook to store all these precious insights, gathered from years of experience, trial and error, and plenty of mistakes. When I started working with silicone, none of this information was readily available on YouTube. It didn't even exist yet. Can you imagine? So take this knowledge and run with it. You're learning in minutes what took me years to figure out.
Thank you, and see you at the next tutorial.